Hello, everybody. Today is the 23rd of August. It is a Sunday evening here in California. It's a Monday morning in New Delhi, where our dear friend and colleague, an esteemed member of our channel, Pravin Sawhney, is located, and he's joining us. We are coming to you at a time that is not our regular time, and the reason why we are doing that is because we have promised to you that we shall bring to you the news that is of an explosive nature that you need to know, and that is not available to you from corporate media, that is not available to you from anywhere else, because we are privileged to have the trust of the people who deliver the news to us, and we deliver it to you. So if you like what we do, kindly hit the like and subscribe button. Go to our Substack channel. We will deliver this inside your mailbox twice a week. So with all of that, I welcome my dear friend and colleague Pravin Sawhney. Hello, Pravin.
Thank you so much, Zulfiqar. It's always a delight to be on your show. Thank
Well,
you.
you are so kind, so kind, so kind, and you have no idea how many people appreciate your learned commentary. So let me update you on the news that brings you here, brings me here as well. Well, we were informed by reliable sources that uh, top of agenda for Field Marshal Asim Munir while he's in Iran is a discussion on the invitation that is being delivered to Iran leadership by Asim Munir to join the Makkah Agreement. This is a very big news because there has been talk that the Mecca Agreement was simply a window dressing, not really meaningful, not really going to accomplish anything. But now, after Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan have joined this agreement, the fourth invitation comes to Iran, which is very significant because Saudi Arabia and Iran have not been the best of friends. And if this can happen, this can come about, then a major rift that has been created, in my view, artificial rift between Saudi Arabia and Iran would be substantially erased. So Asim Munir is there to discuss that. And this comes to us from somebody very reliable, very close to Speaker Ghalibaf, number three in the power structure. Also, we are informed that Asim Munir is going to discuss something completely opposite of what Scott Bessent has been proclaiming is going to be the mother of all sanctions, which is to drive a wedge between Pakistan and Tehran and everybody else, so that Iran is isolated. Pakistan and Iran are going to be working on a tenfold increase, tenfold, between now and the next 3 years. And Asim Munir, representing the government of Pakistan, is having relationship discussions of that nature as well with Iranian leadership. So that's a very significant news. Third item on the agenda in terms of significant news, and there are actually more as well for our dear friend and colleague who will comment on that, is news that the Crown Prince of Bahrain, where the Fifth Fleet is situated, uh, is presently in Islamabad, Rawalpindi to be more precise, general headquarters of the Pakistan military, having conversations with the second person in command about Bahrain joining the Saudi Arabia Pakistan defense agreement. Now, to the extent that the Fifth Fleet is headquartered there, talk of a defense agreement with Pakistan must not necessarily be welcome news to Mr. Bessent and Mr. Trump, because their whole interest is to create a wedge between all of these regional countries rather than to bring them together. And how can you have the Fifth Fleet headquartered there while the country is looking to Pakistan for defense? Now, in addition to that, before all of this happened, when I approached my dear friend and colleague, I told him that Iran had made a decision that they were going to take a very dim view of anybody who joins with the United States in imposing these sanctions. and they had a whole menu of action items prepared. Among those was a decision, an actual decision made by the supreme leader to enrich uranium to 90%. It had been previously much less than this. 90% is weapons grade. And the Supreme Leader had not made that decision, but we are informed, we are told reliably that that decision has been made, and the nuclear team is now busy enriching uranium to 90%. And the step from there to an actual weapons grade, this is weapons grade, to an atomic device is very, very small. So this is in preparation for escalation by the United States. So Iran is controlling the escalation ladder. In addition to all of that, Iran has made, this is now public, an announcement saying that anybody who joins up with the United States in imposing sanctions on Iran will be considered by Iran as an enemy of Iran and will be dealt by Iran accordingly. We also know that Iran has decided that they are going to be prepared to withstand all these sanctions, withstand all the pressure through November, at which point they believe United States is not going to be able to go forward. So this is among a lot of the news that is happening, and that's why we are here. So now, Praveen, you go ahead and make sense of all this.
Thank you so much, Zulfiqar. You actually said a lot of things. So I
Yes.
briefly made a note of the five things that you have said. So let me talk about each of them in the same way that you have said, in the same serial. First of all, yes, we know that Field Marshal Asim Munir with a delegation, he's in Tehran right now. So, as you say, that Pakistan will be trying to see the possibility of Iran joining the Makkah Joint Defence Agreement. Now, in my assessment, Iran perhaps should not want to do that. And the reason for that is simple, that what Iran's objective is, that is to get the US forces out of West Asia and replace the UN framework, which is based on the concept of absolute security, with a regional framework which is based on the concept of collective security. This is their key objective, alongside having full control of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if this is the objective, a definitive step towards accomplishing that, even as the US forces are still in West Asia, is the signing of this August 7th Makkah Joint Defence Agreement between three countries, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan. Now, what is the implication of that? I'll just come to that in a while because it is important we understand that also. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, as I said, it's Iran's agenda which is being moved forward by the JDA. So for Iran to join at this stage perhaps will be not very wise, because they should rather focus and get the Americans out of West Asia. That is what they should be looking for. You rightly pointed out that if they sign this, then the relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran, they will become firmer, they'll become closer. Your point is taken, but we also have to keep in mind that both these countries, after a gap of 7 years, they were brought together in Beijing in 2024. So, as far as China is concerned, China still remains the anchor or the key person for both these countries. And I'm sure that the Chinese diplomats, in some way, are communicating with both the countries. So, this is my position, that if Iran joins, good enough. If Iran does not join at this stage the Makkah Defense Agreement, perhaps it will be wiser. That is the way I see it. But of course, this is a decision that Iran will take. The second point that you made was about tenfold increase in trade. Well, this is a welcome thing, and this is something that should have happened, and this is something that is happening. The increase in trade between Pakistan and Iran, for the simple reason that Right from 17th of June, when the MOU was signed, Iran has been very clear that Pakistan is very important member to accomplish that MOU, which is why they called it the Islamabad MOU. And after that, all that is happening, the Joint Defence Agreement, the regional framework, it is now moving on to becoming an Islamic framework. The key country in this is Pakistan. And the Iranians are aware of that. And as you rightly pointed out, that China is behind all that. So this is an extremely welcome thing. Both the countries benefit from this, irrespective of the American economic warfare that we'll come to in a while. So by itself, it's a good news for Pakistan, so long as Pakistan is able to. And a lot of indications are coming from within Pakistan that they are looking also at their governance, that how they should be able to make use of all the great economic geopolitical opportunities that are coming their way. Third point you made is about Bahrain. Yes, Bahrain has this fifth fleet, but I don't think that fifth fleet is any longer there because that whole infrastructure
Yes.
has been destroyed. That has been destroyed, and as far as the logistic hub is concerned, as for the Americans, it is now Diego Garcia. And with Diego Garcia becoming the logistic hub, what the Americans have done is to fight Iran. They've been constrained or they had to bring two theaters together. They have brought the Central Command, they have brought the US Pacific Command together. Now they both are working to fight the war with Iran. That is the state of the American preparedness and preparedness for the war that Iran has, Iran is fighting against them. So for Bahrain to join this is was a natural thing. It had to happen. In fact, more significant than this, I would put, is the this Turkey and Israel. They've had a spat recently, where the Israelis forward they fired at a ammunition base, supposed or a air base, where they said that the Turkish troops were there in Syria. So what the Syrian foreign minister immediately did was he went to Pakistan. And now we come to know that in Pakistan he spoke about the need for the defense cooperation with Pakistan, and also that Syria was interested in joining the Joint Defence Agreement. This is extremely significant. Not only that, it was after that, uh, brokered by America, the Syrian delegation and the Israeli delegation, they have met in Jordan. And there the Syrian delegation made it very clear, and this has been reported, that Syria will build up its armed forces. Syria will look after its own sovereignty. What makes this significant is that they spelled out what is sovereignty: Golan Heights, which are Syrian and which have been occupied by the Israelis since the Six-Day War. So the point I'm making is Pakistan is one country where Syria went because Pakistan has certain attributes that no other country has. I don't have to spell them out, but still two, three of them need to be said. It is a nuclear weapon Muslim country. It is a country which does not have diplomatic ties with Israel. So, as far as the Syrian government also is concerned, they know that Turkey, while Turkey has certainly tilted towards the Muslim world because now it is part of the Joint Defence Agreement also, but the reality is that President Erdogan, he keeps supporting Israel through the oil from Baku. So there is a bit of a duplicity there in Turkey's foreign policy, something which is not there with Pakistan. So this is the importance of Pakistan. So I'm not surprised at all that Bahrain has gone to the Bahrain, the army chief or whatever delegation has gone to the general headquarters, because everything is being done from the general headquarters. So they are also keen. Surely Kuwait will also join in. Qatar will also join in, and they all will join in. The only outlier will be UAE. UAE will keep holding until very long because because of UAE's own interest, but that's a different story. Now, next thing that you said was a definitive news that the Iranians now, with the blessings of the supreme leader, they are enriching their uranium stockpile. Now we know that they have something like 440 kilograms, and we know that it has been enriched till 60%. So they have the expertise, there is no doubt about it, to make it to weapon grade, to make it 90%. But will they do that? Once again, I have my doubts here. Why I say they will not do that is because if they are building a regional framework, and the concept of the regional framework and the concept of collective security is that all the countries are partners, they are equals. No country is a hegemon, because the moment a country becomes a hegemon, then it is no longer collective security, it becomes the concept of absolute security. That is what the Americans were doing. That is what the American framework was all about. Because if the Iranians are actually doing this, this is something that cannot be hidden. And surely at some stage the Iranians will inform and get out of NPT also, which they have signed as a non-nuclear weapon state. So I think that Iranians, they are fixated on their objective right from the beginning. So in my assessment, if this news has come, perhaps this news needs another review. It may not really be correct, because if you recall, what had happened was when on the 17th of June, President Pezeshkian, he signed the MOU. After that, the Supreme Leader Mustafa Khamenei, he had put out a statement. The statement was obviously a reference that I do not agree entirely with Pezeshkian, but it is Pezeshkian's call because he heads the Supreme National Security Council. And obviously, where he did not agree was about the nuclear weapons. Because you may recall, a lot of Iranian analysts were saying after the first air campaign of the Americans, when it did not produce any results, and that the Iranians now should make a nuclear weapon. But the supreme leader went along with the wisdom of Pezeshkian, and Pezeshkian signed on that MOU. And MOU makes it very clear this is something where they have signed. The president has signed off uh, Iran, who's also the chairman of the Supreme National Security Council. And that says it very clearly that when the talks are going on, of course they have broken. The, Iran will not do anything with its nuclear capabilities, with its nuclear weapons. And it also talks about drawing down the stockpiles as to how they can be done once the initial 6 days are over. So I think Iran is will not want to do this. So I have my doubts on this. Now you come to the economic warfare. See, as far as economic warfare is concerned, the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, General Mohsin Rezai, he has made it very clear that this is an act of war. Now, having said it's an act of war, basically it's a continuation of what the Americans have been doing. And what they have been doing is they first did a 40 days air campaign, which did not produce the desired results. After that, they have tried the naval blockade on two occasions. First naval blockade started, on the 11th of April, then continued till the 17th of June when they signed the MOU. The second started in July, which continues even today. So even that has not produced results for the simple reason that when you put a naval blockade, it needs a lot of time to show results. That is one key reason. And the other reason is that the Strait of Hormuz is totally controlled by the Iranians. So now this is the third thing that they have come up with, which is economic warfare, and this is absolutely counterproductive. Once again, here, if you see that the Iranians, they have gone uh, in a very systematic way. When they say act of war, what they have done is what I call defensive offense. They have not gone for offense, total offense. Why I say they have gone for defensive offenses, that they have made two significant statements. One, they have said that not a drop of oil. will be allowed through the Persian Gulf. This is significant. This means that forget about Strait of Hormuz, even the Red Sea, the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, and even the pipelines running from east to west of uh, Saudi Arabia, all that nothing will be allowed. So nobody is going to sell any oil, any gas. This is significant, and they mean it. The second thing what they have said is that if the Americans they are doing this economic warfare, then all the American assets which are connected with the economy in the GCC countries, we will hit all those. All this while they were hitting the military assets of Americans in the GCC countries. Now they are talking about all the companies of America, the AI infrastructure of America, which is there in the GCC countries, once again very significant. Now, this is what I call defensive offense. Had they gone on offense, this is what the act of war means, then obviously they would have even targeted the naval blockade itself. That's a huge vulnerability. Today, they have the capabilities, Iranians have the capabilities, accurate missiles, long range missiles, which cannot be stopped by the air defense systems for the simple reason that all these vessels, their air defense systems, they are in short supply. So that's a vulnerability. Another vulnerability is Digo Garcia itself, the logistic base. That's the only hub they have. And there in that hub, the Iranians have shown they have very good cyber capabilities. Recently, there was a news that in UK, 6 or 7 power plants, power centers, they have been hit by the cyber attacks of Iranians. So Iranians have come a long way since 2010 when the Stuxnet attacks were done on their centrifuge at Nazan nuclear facility, Natanz nuclear facilities. So the point I'm making is, Zulfikar, that they are still going in a very progressive way when they say act of war, because their focus has not changed at all. The focus is regional framework. That is what they are looking at, and this is the way I see, Zulfikar, the 5 points that you have made.
Excellent summation, Pravin. Excellent summation. Many people who listen to our podcast, many decision makers listen to our podcast, will appreciate greatly what you just said. I would like to add some additional clarification, and that clarification is as follows. The information that I shared with yourself and with our global audience, that the Supreme Leader had made a decision that continues to be reliable even today, as 24 hours, 48 hours after I first discussed it with you, or shared it with you. And the decision was that the Supreme Leader has said to whoever, the authorities, that yes, go ahead and enrich it to weapons grade, and stop. Not that they are going to make a weapon out of it. That will be another decision. And also another decision was made that if push comes to shove, if Scott Bessent actually succeeds in applying real economic pressure, then Iran is going to get out of the NPT, and that will be another escalation point by Iran. So two decisions there that I should clarify. Now, I agree with you that the mood inside Iran, from everything that I have been told, everything I have observed, remains very confident and very strident. They are very determined to wait it out until November. November is their timeline. They don't believe that Trump is going to last through November. They don't believe that this maximum pressure campaign is going to amount to anything. In fact, all indications are that it has, in fact, blown in Scott Bessent's face. Nobody takes him seriously. And even China and Russia have made statements saying, "Well, you can make all these rules for yourself. Don't apply them, in our part of the world. To us, they don't mean anything." And most importantly, significantly, the trade between Pakistan and Iran is going to be conducted in the local currency. I should have mentioned that earlier when I talked about that. And that is very significant because I believe that this is going to be a very significant dagger in the heart of the petrodollar. The petrodollar will be weakened. The petrodollar will be greatly diminished in terms of stature when $10 billion worth of trade between Iran and Pakistan will be conducted in local currency. And of course, that is not going to be limited just to between the trade between those two countries. Trade between China and Iran will be conducted in yuan as well. So all of these events, all of these timelines, all of these decisions that have been made point to one direction, in my view, and that is there is no way that Bessent is going to succeed any more than the military maximum pressure campaign succeeded. There is no way that Trump is going to accomplish anything. And if that is where we end up a week from today, after tomorrow, Monday, Bessent announces whatever he does comes to nothing, then where does that leave Trump?
See, the thing is that you rightly pointed out that the trade will be in local currency because, in any case, Iran is doing trade only in local currency. Iran does not have the options of going through SWIFT or the dollars. So Iran's trade with China is in local currencies. Iran trade with Russia is in local currency. Between China and Russia is in local currency. About more than 90% trade is in local currency. It's in yuan or the Russian currency, rubles. So the point I'm making is that this is something which is one of the key agendas of BRICS, and Iran is a full member of BRICS, and Iran now very soon will also be member of the BRICS Bank, which is the new development bank. Now Pakistan has applied for both the things. Pakistan has applied for full membership of BRICS as well as membership of the new development bank. Now, since the presidency is with India and India has hostile relations with Pakistan, perhaps this year this may not be possible, but I have no doubts at all. Given the geopolitical profile of Pakistan and given the heavy lifting that today Pakistan is doing in creating not only in the Eurasia, it is Eurasia African architecture. They are creating the new world order, bringing in the Islamic framework. Next year is the presidency of China. China holds the presidency of BRICS. I have no doubts at all that plenty will change by 2027. And Pakistan will certainly be in because Pakistan is a full member of SCO. And in fact, the next year in 27, the chair of SCO is with Pakistan. So Pakistan is the right country along with Iran to be in part of BRICS because BRICS is a very important institution of the new world order. So there is no doubt about it. Now coming to the economic warfare, see today what is happening is that Americans are in very big trouble and you know it much better than I do. Today the Americans when you they have a national debt of $40 trillion, the interest payment of that debt is more than the budget, the Pentagon budget, annual budget, which is over $1 trillion. They are paying that. Then the Japanese, they are selling the US Treasury bond, they are selling the American debt because they want to stabilize uh, yen. The Chinese are selling it and they are investing instead in gold. And then BRICS, as I said, is one place where it is getting displaced. The dollar is getting displaced in a very big way. And this is a continuing process and this will go on. So petrodollar is in big trouble. In fact, sometimes back, J.D. Vance himself had said at one of the forums, he said that petrodollar's US currency dollar as the reserve currency of the world, it may not be there for very long. And the Americans will have to live with, not the living will not be cheap for them. They have to adjust to that. Now, see, on the other hand, Iran, first of all, is fighting an existential war. It's fighting a war of survival. Iran is a country which has borne the sanctions since 1979. Now, Iran is that country today which has a lot of options. The options are Pakistan, the overland routes of Pakistan, the three ports of Pakistan, Karachi, Port Qasim, and Gwadar. Then the Chinese are there to help the Iranians. And Chinese vessels or their railway carriages cannot be hit by Americans. There is a land route which goes through the Central Asian republics, which is 10,400 kilometers, connects China and Iran. And this was operationalized in May this year. Then you have the Russians through the Caspian Sea. Now they are also building up a rail corridor, which of course will take time with Iran. So the point I'm making is that Zulfiqar, Iran is not is it is in difficult situation, but I think the difficulty is much more in America. It is being felt there because the Americans are not used to all these difficulties. So that is where the problem seems to be. Inflation is there, and as you rightly pointed out, this 3rd of November, when the midterm elections happen in America, is very significant. And there are a lot of people within the Republican Party who are not very happy with President Trump's policy or this continuation of the war in West Asia. So I agree entirely with all the points you have made, and even coming to this nuclear thing, my see what decision they have made. Perhaps you know much better than most. I am giving you an argument. My argument is that this is something Iran perhaps should not do. Because if I look at the objective of Iran, it becomes clear to me that even if they decide to enrich it to 90%, not make it into a bomb is a screw away. That's about it. They have the expertise. So this is something that they will not be able to hide from the regional players. And the regional players should see them as one of them, not as a hegemon. This is my argument. But what is actually happening, I have no knowledge of that. Perhaps you are right on that.
Well, I'm a reporter, and I am reporting what I have information on, and of course I would not report something that I did not really know, or know to or knew to be reliable or knew to be confirmed from sources that I have, and that was that the supreme leader made a decision based upon this maximum economic pressure campaign. Doesn't mean that he cannot reverse his decision. Doesn't mean that he cannot pick up the phone and say, "Stop it! Don't do that yet." I mean, he's obviously the person to make that decision. And we reported what we knew 2 days ago, that there was this campaign, and the supreme leader said, "Okay, we control the escalation ladder." So with all of that going on, and no way, Trump is going to get anything done, as we know, and you know this better than anybody. You have been an astute observer of geopolitical uh, politics, developments, military force. Trump is not going to go anywhere. What happens then? I mean, he is humiliated. He has walked away from his so-called, you know, favorite field marshal, which was stupid. I mean, why to do that? So he doesn't really have the ability to call up Asim Munir as much as he has done in the past. Not that that has stopped. Uh, so what does Trump do?
See, first of all, Trump is totally baffled, he is confused. And both the things point towards that. First, he's saying that twice he has said this that Strait of Hormuz is American territory. He has put out on the social media 2 times. So this shows nervousness. This shows that he really doesn't know what's going on, and the same fate awaits the economic warfare of Bessent. It will be no different. What Trump did is precisely what Bessent is doing, and this will only harm American interests. As the Iranian leadership has already pointed out, that we will hit the American assets in the GCC countries. So who's harmed? Iran is not harmed, America is harmed. So this is another foolishness that they'll be doing. Now, as far as the Iranians are concerned, Although Field Marshal Asim Munir, one of the things that certainly he will be doing, and in my assessment, will be one of his top priorities, will be the mediation part. Because the reports are suggesting that President Trump is very keen to end the war. And surely he or somebody else, perhaps J.D. Vance, has spoken to Asim Munir. So this is what he takes to Tehran, that let's once again try and sit down and end the war. And now, as far as Iranians are concerned, two things are very clear. The first one is that talks have to happen on that MOU itself. You have to take that forward. You have to take that forward from 60 days onward, which means that now the terms for talks will be much more stringent. And what that means is that they have made it very clear that we will levy the fees, and it will be something like 7% of the cargo value, which means the Iranians will get close to $100 billion annually. And as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, while they have discussed the management with the Omanis, the control remains of Iran. There should be no doubts about it. It is Iran that decides, and it so appears that they have decided on the northern route, that all the vessels that go in and out will go through the northern route, the route which is closer to Iran. Then they have already spelled out that Iran will be allowed to sell its oil immediately, which means no restrictions at all on the oil, gas, petrochemicals, everything will be sold. Then they have also made it very clear that the frozen assets, and immediately they want $12 billion released of the total frozen assets, which is reported is close to $120 billion. So you see, when you look at all these things, it becomes very clear that even for Asim Munir, it will not be an easy task, because these are those things on which Iran will not budge at all. And Trump is aware of that. Trump is, see, that as you rightly pointed out in the beginning when you gave your initial points, that Trump is very keen, and for Trump, the midterm elections are important. So it is a very important thing, and the Iranians are aware of that. Leaders regularly talk about that. That look, that is what is important for him. So Iran has borne the pain for so many decades. Iran can still wait out. Iran has the military options. Iran holds the cards. Iran runs the narrative. Trump does not do any of this. So the reality is that, and this cannot be a long drawn war also. That some, a lot of people keep talking about. It's a different war. It's not a war like Afghanistan or Vietnam, where it was one side fighting conventional war, the other side fighting irregular war. It has been a conventional war on both sides that has been fought. The difference being that the Americans fought the 20th century warfare, the Iranians fought the 21st century warfare. It is a conventional war, and at the center of the war is the Strait of Hormuz, through which we know that the world is concerned, world wants that to be opened. So that is where it is. So Iran is in complete control. So at some stage, Trump has no options, and I've been saying this for a long time. He is only he is only sort of his own popularity is going down. The popularity, the credibility of the Americans is going down. The American empire, you see, that is declining more sharply. By wasting all this time, he has to come back and start talking with the Iranians. There's no way out.
Well, we have come to that conclusion, and it is a conclusion that everybody who has some knowledge about geopolitics agrees upon, Pravin, and you have been saying that from the very beginning. So, would you hazard I mean, I would not say hazard. This would be a very reliable, extraordinarily well thought out estimate of where this goes from here.
See, from here, as far as Trump is concerned, Americans have to come back and talk to the Iranians on the MOU and on Iranian conditions. How much Iran will be able to give them the leeway, it is for the Iranian leadership to decide. And of course, here Field Marshal Asim Munir will play a big role. But the second point that I want to make is that we will see a drastic change in situation after the midterm elections in America. Things will change drastically, in my assessment, within America and in West Asia, and the world is watching that. So we are just about a little while away. That is all the time we have. That is all the time Trump has to come and talk. After that, perhaps even this option may become very difficult for Trump to come and talk. So
Well,
we are
that's
talking
60 days
after.
away, Parveen. Do you think that the world is going to withstand another 60 days of shortages? The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, I don't think can withstand another 60 days of depletion.
Zulfiqar, actually, more than the world, he doesn't care about the world. He cares about his own position as the President of America. Can the Americans sustain it, considering that the strategic petroleum reserves are already down to reports say 1983 levels? They have some about 40 days left,
Yes.
40 days of reserve left. Then the prices of gas have gone up, inflation has gone up in America. So can the Americans sustain it? That is the key question. See, world is a different thing. He doesn't care about the world. But surely he has to care about his own country, and he has to care about his own presidency, whatever is left of that. I mean, he's the man who came into the presidency writing very clear on the first page of the national security strategy that he will be the president for peace. And where has he taken America? See, so, and again, what will happen is that the Americans also, the lawmakers, have to seriously now think about what to do with Israel. Israel is a big stumbling block for peace in West Asia. Israel is creating a lot of problems, unending problems. And the Americans have to seriously consider that is it America first? That is important. Or is it Israel first? That is a key question for the US lawmakers to ponder upon.
Well, I completely agree with you because you have made sense from day one, uh, I'm just anticipating the the total humiliation that Besant is going to face in the coming days, and how Besant manages to get out of that is something that I do not really know, but I would like to see the look on his face when he realizes that instead of Iran getting isolated, Iran has gotten closer and closer together. So thank you very much, Praveen. I so appreciate your voice, so appreciate your thought, so appreciate your analysis. Not only myself, but I hear from many people, many very significant people, in fact, in various decision-making circles who look forward to these conversations. So thank you so much
Thank you, Zulfikar.
for your kind time, kind analysis. Our global audience, if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe button. Go to Substack, become a pen member. We will deliver this high quality intel inside your mailbox twice a week. Thank you, Parveen.
Thank you, Zulfikar. Thanks a lot.